That just goes to show you, how tough the NBA is. You got guys who are really good in college and they kind of, not struggle, but it's hard to stick in the NBA because there are so many great players and there's only a finite amount of jobs.
If there was one word you could use to describe your season thus far, what do you think you would? What word would you use?
I would definitely use the term roller coaster or the word roller coaster
Ooh.
because I feel like it's been up and down like a roller coaster does. Sometimes you get thrown for a couple loops here and there, but we've beat the best teams in the country. We've lost to some of the lesser teams in the country, and I think that just goes to show you we can beat anybody, but we can be beat by anybody, and I feel like that's kind of the theme of the season so far.
Your teammate Zeke Mayo was subject of some, very terrible comments on social media. And if you ask me, I feel like internet trolls are just a different level of pathetic. And I know your coach Bill Self stepped in right away, said any criticism should be directed towards him. But how have you and the rest of the team really rallied around Zeke right now and helped to support him?
Yeah, I mean, it's super tough, especially in this, NIL era. You got your taxes, but also, you got the hate DMs and stuff like that. A lot of it comes with, the gambling and everything like that. 'Cause you can have great games and still get hate DMs because your team didn't win by enough points, or you personally didn't score enough points. Like you can have 18 points, 12 rebounds, but if uh, you don't get 20, and somebody think you get a 20 points, then you have to get a lot of peak hits. So that's one thing. But I think uh, for the most part, we just told Zeke like we got his back. Coming from his previous school, he probably didn't experience a lot of that stuff. But playing for Kansas and playing at ESPN and playing in the primetime matchups, you have a lot of eyes and a lot of people rooting for you. And just like any fan, they probably just get a little too passionate.
Right. So Cooper Flagg, what traits or qualities of a good basketball player do you see when you watch him, and what do you think that ceiling is for him in the future? And then ultimately, I guess this is a three-part question for you. Do you think he stays at Duke, or do you think he enters the NBA draft?
I think for sure. I think there's no chance he stays at Duke. I think it got some clicks and got some media attention, but there's no way he's staying at Duke. I would say for him, I think his best trait is his versatility. If you look at it, obviously, he scores the ball at a prolific pace, but he's able to play great without scoring, and I think that's a super impressive trait. Not a lot of guys are able to do that, but he can affect the game in so many different ways. I mean, defensively, whether it's rebounding, blocking shots, just guarding the ball one on one, or offensively, passing. He's averaging, I think, 4 assists a game, and so he's able to really affect the game in multiple ways, which is why he's so impressive and so highly regarded as a prospect.
Yeah. You played at both Michigan and Kansas, which are two programs rich with history. How's your journey through these programs shaped your development as a player?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I feel super blessed to be able to play at two, historic programs like you said, Michigan, with the Fab Five, kind of creating the culture that it is today, and then playing for Kansas, one of the most storied programs of all time. It's been truly a blessing. I feel like I've learned so much from my coaches, Jawan Howard and Bill Self. They're two of the best coaches in the sport, in my opinion, and they tell me so much about basketball, but also about life. I feel like they've not only made great basketball players, but great men off the court, and so it's been super blessed with that, and trying to take all the things they've taught me and implement that not only into basketball but in life in general.
Yeah, and you played with and against some incredible players in your college career. So, who's been the toughest player you faced and why?
The toughest player I've faced in college, it's gonna be a guy from Ohio State named Dwayne Washington. He was a guard at Ohio State, and I think he gave us 30. We played him twice. He gave us 30 each time, and he was just such a good scorer, so dangerous coming off ball screens and stuff like that. I think he's on a two-way contract right now in the NBA, but that just goes to show you, how tough the NBA is. You got guys who are really good in college and they kind of, not struggle, but it's hard to stick in the NBA because there are so many great players and there's only a finite amount of jobs in the NBA, so it's super tough. But he was really tough in the college to try to defend.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what's your long-term goals after college? Do you have aspirations for the NBA? I'm assuming, but are there other paths you'd be interested in? Because it seems like you're really good at analyzing the game. I saw a clip the other day, you doing an interview kind of like this one, and I was like, okay, dude, you're really good. Like you're very well spoken. You know what you're talking about. Would media be something you'd ever think about doing?
I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, like obviously, like you said, basketball has been something I've been doing for ever since I could get the ball to the hoop. My older brothers played, and so I've been watching them play my whole life, and then I finally got the chance to play. And so yeah, basketball has been my life. I want to try to take this thing as far as it will take me. But after my playing career, I definitely want to stay in the sport because, like I said earlier, it's something I've been doing my whole life. I feel like I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to the game of basketball, and so I kind of want to be able to use that avenue to be able to create a career after basketball for me. So something like being a broadcast analyst or just, college basketball analyst or basketball analyst in general would be something that I would, definitely love to do after my playing career.
Yeah. Last couple questions for you here. A little bit of March Madness talk. So, what teams are you most keeping an eye out for ahead of this NCAA tournament?
One team that I actually had a interview with CBS last night, and we had to talk about the Alabama Florida game, and I said that I wasn't too big of a believer in Florida, in the early parts of the season. I didn't see it, but now I'm a big believer in them. They have a ton of offensive firepower. They're super athletic. They're battle tested playing in the SEC. I really like them. I mean, obviously, the favorite is Auburn. They are who they are. They're the number one team in the country for a reason. And so I would say, one of those two teams. But team in our conference, Houston, they're super tough. They play super physical. It's like a war down there in the paint. And so I think that that's a team that's super hard to kind of regulate and try to, imitate while you're scouting them. So those three teams, if it's not the Jayhawks, I think, they have a really good chance to win it all.
Do you, so Auburn, are you in on Auburn making that deep run?
I think they'll be really tough to beat. I mean, I think it'll take a special type of team, like a team like Texas A&M, to where they just physically outmuscle them. That's why I said Houston. I think those two teams are tough matchups for them. But if you look at a team like a Alabama, who's just trying to go up and down with them, trying to outscore them, I don't think that's the way to beat them. I think you got to try to physically outmuscle them, try to beat them on the backboards, and really try to take them out of the rhythm.